Good day, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Favi, and welcome back to Arrows DIY. Today we're having fun with some of the items I received here in this subscription box called the Maker's Box by Sonnet over at sonnetsgardenblooms.com. I'll leave it linked below in my description box if you want to grab one. It's a monthly subscription box, and I promised I was going to show you guys the inside of the box, so here I am showing you really quickly because I use all of these decoupage papers and paints in my projects in this video. So the first paper you saw there was called Bird's Masterboard by Royce, and it had beautiful colors. And this one here is called Summer Landscape, and it's my absolute favorite. So I also got some paints. We got DIY paints I've never tried before. The one on the left is Kissing Booth, and the other one is Weathered Wood. Now these are some fusion paints in the colors Prairie Sunset and Cast Iron, and I'm going to be using these on all the projects today. So I hope that you enjoyed this video. It's a little bit longer than my regular videos, but since my footage got deleted on my last video, I try to salvage some and add some more projects for you guys to enjoy. So I have this little bud vase I had in my stash for some time. I got it at the thrift store for $1, and I'm just going to give it a paint job. I was so excited to try this paint by Fusion. This is the Cast Iron color, and I just wanted to test it out. It has a sealer built in, so I don't have to seal this project, which is my favorite part. And I'm going in with this flat paintbrush just to give it a nice clean edge. I paint the sides as well as the bottom very carefully, and once it's fully dry, I come in with a smaller brush, and this is going to help me make a nice line on the top. I slowly go section by section to make a nice line there, and then once the line was made, I painted downward to kind of blend that line into the paint so that it wouldn't show the line. I kind of blended that bottom edge, but once it was all dry, it was so simple. But as you can see, I can use it year-round, and I love how simple and how sweet this little transformation is. Let me know what you think about this one in the comments below. Now for this next project, I'm going to be using this. I'm not sure what it is. I thrifted it. I paid $1 for it, and it looks like it's a lid of some sort. Let me know in the comments below if you know exactly what this is. But I've used it in my decor, this color, for a very long time, and I'm still going to use one of the sides as a neutral because I like to layer my decor with this piece. But I decided to use this decoupage paper to make a sign. Since I've used it in this neutral color for so long, I needed a change, you know? So I'm going to take this decoupage paper, lay it on top, and then kind of pick the section of the paper. Now this section here looked like it had some cows grazing at the bottom there. Well, that's what I think that little spot is at the bottom, but you let me know. Does it look like cows grazing, that little brown spot bottom part of that paper? So as you can see there, I just wedged it into the corners carefully with my nail, made some indents. Now I'm looking for my scissors, and it takes a while, and I sped this up. So imagine how long I really took looking for my scissors. Anyhoozle, I'm gonna go ahead and cut this out. So once it was cut out, I put it in place to make sure that it fit. And I did cut it a little bit bigger to give me some slack in case I do need more. Now you could totally leave it like this. This would look so nice with that brown on top. Very, very nice. However, I wanted to take it a step further. So I used this cutout piece to cut out another section of the decoupage paper with the sky in it. And once I was sure that this piece fit in the top part of our decor piece there, I went ahead and I just placed the template on top of the area I wanted to cut, and I just held it down with one hand and cut it off carefully with scissors. Very simple. I did cut it out a little bit larger to give myself some wiggle room because I figured since there was a texture on the surface, it might require more paper as the decoupage medium makes the paper kind of sit into the grooves. It might need more paper. Now you don't need to do this part. I just really wanted that paper to sing on this piece. I wanted all the colors accentuated in this. So that's why I'm kind of dry brushing willy-nilly on the background here with some white acrylic paint. I just wanted to lighten up the background so those colors are more vibrant. So I'm going to go ahead and just use a sponge brush and kind of go into the nooks and crannies. You could also spray paint this as long as you tape off, you know, the other sections. It would be way easier on this texture. So I'm just making sure everything is really dry so I can come in with my decoupage medium in just a sec. Now, since I had some more white paint left over there, I decided to dry brush the middle section there, because that's going to be kind of like a sign for some words in a little bit. And I'm going to sand off the edge as well, because I've noticed it's super rough and I don't want it tearing or nicking my decoupage paper. So this is the decoupage medium I'm using. It's Mod Podge Multi in the matte finish, and it is indoor and outdoor safe, so I figured it'd be very durable. It's a little bit more liquidy than the regular Mod Podge, so I figured it'd be good to kind of sit in the nooks and crannies of this piece and help me glide it better. And I'm still testing out this product. Just make sure to mix it well before you use it, because I've noticed that it separates and doesn't work as well if it's not rolled on the surface first to kind of mix the medium. So as you can see there, I put a good amount. I spread it all over with my Mod Podge brushes. If you want to pick up any of the brushes or tools I'm using today, you can go ahead and do that on the Plaid website. I'll leave my discount code for my subscribers below. So now I take the paper and I lay it in position, and I'm just going to gently tap it down with this Mod Podge brush. And then after it's placed in position, I'm going to saturate it with this Mod Podge Multi Medium. I just want to soften the paper so that it can get into those crannies and show that texture. And that was my goal here in this project. I was really curious to see what would happen, and I was pleasantly surprised. Now, I did make a mistake, so learn from my mistake, and just carefully, ever so carefully with the brush. You don't want to poke or stab the decoupage paper, and I did that. I got a little excited and I nicked some piece there. Just make sure that that doesn't happen to you. Glide very gently. The longer this medium is on your paper, the soggier the paper will be. Therefore, the more delicate the paper will be. So you want to be very careful and not get too confident as I did and tear my paper. But you'll see what I do to rectify this in a little bit, because on this channel we roll with the imperfections and we actually celebrate them. So I'll show you what I did to remedy that. So I'm doing the same thing to the top portion as I did for the bottom. I'm gonna spread a nice thin layer all over in the nooks and crannies everywhere. And once that's fully spread around, I'm gonna go in and just lay the paper down just as before. We're gonna saturate it. The maker of this paper said that it's good to saturate this paper with some water, like spritz it with water so that you activate the fibers. Therefore, the paper will be more malleable and more bendable, more stretchable. So that's why I thought it'd be okay to saturate this paper and then make it more stretchy, kind of get in those nooks and crannies. I hope you understand what I'm saying. So now, once the paper was saturated enough, I did want to gently press it into the basket weave, and then I'm going to wipe it off. So here I am taking off the excess of that Mod Podge very carefully, and the Mod Podge just does dry. The Mod Podge does dry clear, so you don't have to worry about any of this medium showing up after, because all this is going to be completely clear and sealed. But once that's all done, I went ahead and I sealed the entire surrounding of the piece as well. Now off camera, I went ahead with some gold paint and I just dabbed those little areas where it was torn. And I also added this hello word because I thought it'd be super fun. I got it on the Plaid Online website as well. The discount code is available in the description box below. And I also added some milk paint into the corners just to give it a little bit of a halo effect. I hope you like that one. Now this next project I lost footage for in my last video, so I'm just going to try to explain to you what I did here. The right side of this box was missing a chunk, so I took some bamboo sticks from the Dollar Tree as well as some Titebond glue, and I built a structure with tons of glue and those sticks. So once that was fully dry, I went in with some of this spackle from Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to try to build on top of this. It was a tricky shape to build because the outside of it was curved and the inside was very straight. So I'm just going to try to keep that same size and shape. But I am going to try to build the spackle on top of the bamboo sticks, and this works very well. I know it's going to look like a hot mess, but it works very well because this spackle is sandable, so we're going to sand it. But right now we're just trying to make the shape a little bit bigger so that it could be sanded down. So just try to keep the general shape of it without it being a hot mess. And once it's fully dry, it's very simple to sand. It doesn't need much grit. It doesn't need much elbow grease to get the job done. So I was very happy with how this turned out. Now my husband, this is for my husband. This is his Father's Day gift from me. And he's a very simple kind of dude. He doesn't like distressing. He doesn't like any extra bells and whistles. I don't even know why he married me. But I'm going to try to, do it his style. So once it's fully dry, I'm going to take a sandpaper from the Dollar Tree and I'm just going to sand it down. You see, it's very simple to sand it down. Once I sanded it down to shape, I took a damp rag and I wiped everything down just to get all that dust off of the project. And then that's when I noticed that it is not perfectly aligned on one of the angles there. So then I have to come back and we're going to repeat this process again, but I'm not going to show it to you in full depth. To get a nice sharp edge, I folded over the sandpaper and kind of went vertically to get the inside of it very straight at that 90-degree angle. And then for the outside, I just followed the front top right corner of the front part, and that kind of gave me the shape that it should be. I wanted everything to look continuous, and it turned out great. Once it was nice and sanded the second time, I wiped it down once again with the damp rag, and now we're going to paint it with this fusion color in the color Cast Iron. Now this is definitely my husband's style, very sleek. He likes modern. So we're trying to find a happy medium right now where I get all my chippy goodness and he gets, I don't know what he gets, but he's going to get this project. And I tried to convince him to let me put a transfer on here, try to decoupage something. He was not having it. It's fine. He doesn't want everything distressed, and I agree. So I'm going to go ahead and just put all the nails, the original nails that were on here, back on there. And I had to pull out the mirror so that I could, to get everything painted really well, I had to take the mirror out eventually. So I'm just going to put it right back together, and this is how it turned out. I have it staged here with flowers. Obviously he's going to put all his man things in there, but I thought it was a nice thrift flip. But let me know what you think in the comments below. This one was a lot of fun, even though I couldn't add anything else to it. Now this next one is all mine, and I love it. I love it. It was given to me by a sweet friend I just made, Eileen. We came together. God brought us together through our love for DIY. So it seems like she's a retired DIYer, which I don't even think it's a thing because I'm pretty sure she's going to keep making things at home. But she has such a stash. She calls it her cosmic debris. And I crack up so much. Anyways, so she gave me this and I appreciate it so much. Thank you so much, Eileen. I hope you like what I did with it. I'm gonna go ahead and sand it down. I saw that there was words in there and I was gonna try to preserve those words. So I sanded it down and it was taking off the words. And I was trying to be gentle, but it just didn't work. So I'm gonna clean it up real good with this Castile soap and water mix that I make at home. And I'm just going to rub it real good and just clean it all up. It was in storage in her garage for a very, very long time, but I so appreciate this piece. It's made out of glass. I've never seen a washboard made of glass. Guys, this made my entire week. It was such a good find. I don't think I could ever thrift this. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead. I need to control myself. I love this thing. I'm gonna go ahead and just use this chalk color Foggy, my favorite. I know, surprise, surprise. But I'm gonna give this whole thing a paint job. So I'm gonna use my chalk brush and I'm gonna go in circular motions to get into the corners real good. So I gave this entire piece 2 coats in this chalk paint color, and then once it was done, I go in and I seal it with some clear wax by Waverly. Now I thought this piece would be very simple to scratch off, so I didn't bother blue taping it, but it was not as easy as I thought. So the razor's not working on the chalk paint with this specific glass. Don't know what happened there, but to my delight, another thing that I can use is this alcohol. So I got some 99% alcohol. I just had it in my stash from my last video, and it was here right next to me in my vicinity. So I just figured I'd try that, and it worked great, guys. It was awesome. So I put some on there and let it sit for a while, and then I'm going to go in with this dry baby wipe, and I'm just going to wipe it gently. I used the edge of my nail on the edge of the piece there, and I was just able to clean it right up. And it took 3 baby wipes to get this nice and clear. Now for the other side, I learned guys, and I used some blue tape to avoid this whole situation from happening again. And that was very simple. Now we're going to use some of this hard coat Mod Podge. I picked this one because it'll make the decoupage paper very hard. This is for furniture. This specific Mod Podge is for furniture. I'm going to go in and add a nice thin layer, even layer to the inside of this area here. And I already have my decoupage paper cut down to size. So I'm going to go ahead with this brush. This brush is called a Firm Decoupage Brush by Plaid, also on the Plaid online website if you're interested. And I'm going to go ahead and just place this on. Now I tried to apply it by decoupaging the left side first and then the right side, but it was just not working this way. So what I would recommend you do is to lay your cut decoupage section into the shadow box area that you're putting, and then once you have it down completely, then decoupage half of it by folding it over. So I'm going to show you here. As you can see, I peeled it up a couple times, and every time you peel up your decoupage paper, you have to apply a new layer of decoupage medium. So I just wanted to show you here that this decoupage paper is very durable. Even though I sprayed down half of it, it did not rip quite yet. So as you can see here, just lay it down and then take half of it and kind of decoupage it section by section would be my best recommendation for you, because I was having kind of a hard time. And I'm gonna use this tool here by Plaid. It's a Mod Podge tool, a squeegee and a roller brayer in one. And my squeegee part kind of got distorted. I'm not sure if it arrived that way or if I stored it wrong and kind of compromised the straight edge of my squeegee. So it kind of ripped my napkin. And I do remedy that by cutting little sections from the piece that I cut off. I took little sections from the same area of the decoupage paper, and I just decoupaged little tiny sections on those things, on those empty spots there. And now I'm gonna lift up the right side, decoupage right under it, and as you can see here, using that firm brush, just laying it down and spreading the decoupage medium on top. And since it's a small section, this worked perfectly. This is definitely the way you want to decoupage a shadow box kind of piece. But that's how it turned out. I think it's stunning. I love how that sky looks with that foggy paint color. I know it's very simple, but I think simple is called for sometimes. And let me know what you think about this one in the comments below, because I'm pretty sure it's my favorite. You could also add a transfer to that glass portion if you wanted. Now for this next project, I'm going to be using the Stool, also given to me from Eileen's Cosmic Debris. And I'm going to give it a good cleaning job with the same Castile soap mix. And now I'm going to try this DIY paint in the color Kissing Booth. I am not a Kissing Booth kind of girl, to be honest. And I thought I would try it out. Summer decor is a great place to try pops of color. So I tried it. And I painted this whole thing with a dry brush kind of technique, because you can kind of still see the original color peeking through. And I thought that would look really cool to have bold colors, kind of like a chippy look. So I started off by painting the top of this stool as well as the sides of the top of the stool. And it wasn't working for me. I am not a kissing booth kind of girl, and at least I know that now. So that's the fun part about the subscription box. If you don't know if you like certain colors, you get to try different colors you would never try before. So a lot of my friends were telling me to mix the color. Like my friend Kendra at Late Night Creations likes to mix her kissing booth with different colors, and she makes beautiful colors in it, but I didn't really want to do that. So I'm not sure if kissing booth is the color for me. You'll see. This stool takes so many turns. Let me know which turn was your favorite, which color combination. So now I'm going to try to wet distress this paint. This is a mineral paint, so it can be activated with water. So I took a wet wipe and I just started distressing it with just water, kind of taking some of that paint off. Now I'm going to come in with some weathered wood. I watered it down in the little container because I used all of it already on this frame. I'll show you in a second the frame. I did lose footage for the frame, but it's beautiful anyways. I'll show it to you in a little bit. But I'm going to go ahead and just distress the edges with this watered down weathered wood DIY paint color. And now I'm going to let it dry. And I'm going to work on the side here. I'm going to paint this with the color Cashmere by Folk Art Home Decor. And I do love this color, but I'm running low on white and I just needed something bright because we're going to decoupage on the bottom of the stool. I decided to dry brush the top of the stool because I still wasn't convinced on the color, and this is a process. So I'm going to go ahead, and once this paint is dry, I'm going to use some of this Mod Podge Multi once again. And this is the paper I'm going to use, the Bird's Masterboard, and I was so excited to use this for my summer decor, and it's perfect for this project. So I'm going to take one of the bigger portions of this decoupage paper and I'm going to cut it down to size, but I do leave some overhang on the edges so I can sand it off to make a nice clean edge. So as you can see here, I'm going to make all my cuts before I decoupage it down. It's just going to make it easier for me to make the cuts on the dry decoupage paper. And then I'm going to apply the decoupage medium, and I try to give it a nice even coat. Now I could use the ironing technique, which would give me no wrinkles. I've done it so much on my channel. I'll link a video here if you want to see how to decoupage with an iron with no wrinkles, but I wanted some texture in my project today, so I did not do that. I just laid down the paper, making sure that it was right up on top there. I centered the image as best as I could. And then I am going to use this soft brush. It's called an applicator by Mod Podge, and I'm going to just use this to softly lay down and push out any wrinkles. I also spritzed this paper to help it cling on to the decoupage medium, and it made it very simple to push out any of the air bubbles that wanted to form inside. And as you can see here, it's very simple. Now be careful if you're using DIY paint, because it does reactivate with water, and it was totally getting on my project because my fingers are always covered in paint. So just keep that in mind if you're using DIY paint. It does have to be sealed in order for it not to rub off on anything. And I was very happy with this little applicator. I just made sure to keep one brush just for the Mod Podge and the other brush nice and clean just for laying down that paper. So I did not put decoupage medium on the top of this paper. I kept it nice and clean on top so that that applicator brush could glide right over. I was going to say slide the brush right on top. And it's very important, if you're using this Mod Podge Multi, to mix it. So I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing to the other side. After I mix it, I apply the layer of decoupage medium on there. I give the paper a bit of a spritz so that it clings on to the surface, and then lay it down with that soft applicator brush. You could use saran wrap, whatever. I'm just showing you different techniques here, different tools by Mod Podge that you could use. that are recommended by the Mod Podge company called Plaid, which I am a Plaid ambassador, by the way. So this is why I like playing around with different tools. And I can offer you a discount code. So all those things. So here I am just smoothing down all the sides. And once I got that first part flattened down, I go to the sides now. I did cut the bottom part of the paper around the corners at the bottom of the stool to help me fold it over nicely, kind of like a Christmas gift, section by section, side by side. And I start on the top and work my way. I start on the edge and work my way down the sides, just making sure that it's nice and applied all the way to the edge. So once the edges are nice and decoupaged down, I let it dry completely. Once it's dry, I come in with some sandpaper and I'm just going to sand off the edges to give it a nice straight edge. And this is very simple to do. I use some Dollar Tree paper, nothing fancy, but you know, you can get as fancy as you want. I'm just going to sand off the edges, and some of it was kind of hard to come off because it was decoupaged down, so I had to sand a little harder. And one of the sides I sanded off completely. I could find another little piece of decoupage paper to decoupage there, but I just painted that one a solid color. Now this color combination I like, but for some reason the day I was creating it, I was not feeling it, so I do go in with another color. But at least you get to see what it would look like with light colors and what it would look like with a darker kind of moody color scheme. So you get to see both here. Let me know which one's your favorite. I go ahead and I sand off the edges, the underneath, all the sides to take off that excess decoupage that was hanging over the side once it was all dry. So now I come in with this color this chalk paint in the color Maui Sand, and I love this color. I'm going to go ahead and just paint the underside of the stool all in this color because I changed my mind about the cashmere color. And I'm using my Mod Podge brush for this. I just really like these brushes. They're so soft and they're so easy to use. Anyhoozle. Once I was done, I used the excess of the paint to kind of distress the edges of the stool and a little bit over the face of the decoupage paper. And guys, I still wasn't convinced with the top of the stool. So I go in and I dry brush it one more time with this foggy color. And as you can see here, my paintbrush had some of that Maui Sand color, the dark gray color in there. So they're kind of mixing together as I'm doing this. And the Kissing Booth color is almost completely gone, but I wanted hints of it anyways. So that's what I was trying to do here. I was trying to accomplish what I wanted for this project. And initially I just wanted it to be brown on top. So that's what I ended up doing to seal this project, because my planter is going to be on top of this. I used some antique wax, and I know you're probably thinking, what are you doing? But this is the look I was going for, guys. But there's so many ways, as you can see, that you can turn the stool into a beautiful piece of art. I took my wax brush there and I'm just going in circular motions, kind of buffing out that wax, and I'm going to do the sides as well. And once I let it sit there for a little bit, I came in with a dry baby wipe and I'm going to just take off the excess of that wax, and this is gonna seal my project as well as give it that warmth that I was looking for. And I go in and I do this for the legs as well, and for the underside there on top of the decoupage paper, I also do that. I also hit some of the wood grain on that Maui Sand color there as well, because I'm gonna put it next to my front door where I have a plant. However, it's on a staircase, so you can kind of see the underside as well. So I feel like the underside also has to be special. So that's what I'm doing, just going randomly around all the edges, all the sides, and then I'm gonna wipe off the excess, kind of blend in that antique wax to the wood grain. And I really love the way this one turned out. I know it was a bit of a process, but that's kind of how it happens sometimes when you're creating. You don't really know how it's gonna turn out, but I knew the feel that I wanted for my project, and it was a little bit warmer, a little bit moodier. So as you can see here, I'm also going to go on the sides of the project and antique wax the top there of the stool and add some depth to that decoupage paper. You can still see some of that kissing booth on there, so it wasn't a total loss of paint. But I do use the kissing booth in the next project, so I hope you like that one. I do love how the kissing booth looks on that one. So as you can see there, I had a little bit of that plain splatter there, and I just added some antique wax to it because I thought I could make it look aged, like an aged kind of effect there. But this is how it turned out. I put my plant on top of it, and I kind of love it. I do. I'm happy with how it turned out. It was a process, but you know, things in life are a process. Like my mom says, if it was easy, you would lose it easy. If it's hard, it's worth it, and no one can take it away from you because you worked for it. And I worked for this piece and I love it. Let me know what you think about this one. So for this last project, I'm going to use this little tag sign from Dollar Tree. I took off all the embellishments, all the stickers, and now I'm going to paint it in this kissing booth color. Now I still had that cashmere chalk paint in my paintbrush, so it is blending, and I love that effect, guys. I love it. I'm going to go ahead and just paint the entire tag sign in this color. Once it was fully dry, I'm going to go in with these molds. These molds are from Amazon and they're fairly cheap. I'll try to link them below. And I also am going to use this rice paper. I've never used rice paper before, which is another reason why I tried this subscription box, so I can try all these creative things I never get to try. And I'm very happy with this rice paper. I'm going to go in with a paintbrush wet with water, and I'm just going to draw around the edge to kind of give it a softer distressed look. And I do that for all the sides, and I just love the fraying on here. It's kind of like a cloudy, I love the fraying on this rice paper, guys. I'm hooked on rice paper now. So I'm going to try to find some good ones to add to my stash. This rice paper is hand painted. This design is hand painted by Connie over at the Painted Photographer, and I thought this would be just perfect for one of these plants I have here. I'm going to go ahead and just add a good layer of Mod Podge once it's fully dry, once my paint is fully dry, and I'm going to lay it on there. And I noticed that it was giving a weird effect to the back of the rice paper, and I think it was because my Mod Podge was so heavily applied there, very uneven, so it kind of gave it, the rice paper soaked up some of that Mod Podge in different spots, and I kind of like that effect anyways. And I wanted this to be very translucent. I wanted the rice paper to kind of fade and blend into that paint color. If not, if you wanted it to be more pronounced, you would want to paint the background in white so this colors really pop out, but I wanted it to blend in this time. So I went in with my decoupage medium, and I'm going to just seal it completely like that. And on the edges, I did fan out, so I was kind of painting from the inside from the middle outward, so that the fraying also went outward. I didn't want to lose the shape of that fraying. I love the fraying on that edge there. I hope I made sense. But now I'm going to take my high temperature detail tip Surebond or glue gun, and I'm going to use some hot glue, and I'm going to put it in these molds, and then I slam the molds on the tabletop so that the hot glue embeds into that detail from the mold. And then once it's fully dry, I just pop them out and just, you know, kind of have to pull out some of those hot glue strings. And these are the molds that these hot glue castings, I guess, if I can call them that. And I'm going to go ahead and paint them in this silver color. I picked silver because of the watering can, kind of had like a silver bluish color in there, and I thought that would be a nice color to paint these molds. So I went ahead and I did that off camera. No, on camera. Here I go, painting. But first I couldn't choose the position of these molds, so I just played around with it, and really all of the positions looked really cool. But I just ended up settling on this one, and now I'm going to paint them in this brushed metal paint called Brushed Silver. And that's what it looks like if you want to pick it up yourself. It's by Folk Art. It's very pigmented. So I just pounce it on, and then once I painted them, I let them dry, and then I put some antique wax in a little bit. I'm going to use some Titebond glue as well as some hot glue to place them like so, and it's very sturdy, so I'm not worried about them falling off at all. And then after that, I'm going to go in with the clear wax. Now the clear wax is going to protect my project, and it's also going to control the amount of antique wax that I put on here, because I don't want too much, but I want to have a choice whether I want to commit to that much antique wax. So you'll see what I mean in a bit. Once the molds are on there, I'm going to go in with the clear wax by Waverly and my clear wax brush. And then I just go in circular motions, applying the clear wax all over this piece. Now once the clear wax is applied everywhere, I'm going to go in and just dip my corner of my dark wax brush into that lid. And then I'm just going to randomly pounce it, starting on the molds, and then the excess, wiping it off on the edges to add some depth to this tag sign. I'm going to make this double-sided, so I'm going to also distress the edges with the antique wax to give it a nice finished look. Then I really work in the antique wax, giving it some aging, and I really think that this really took it to the next level. Now for the back of the piece, I used my favorite razor from the Dollar Tree to kind of take off this paper, and I left the white backing on there because I figured it would help the decoupage paper pop. So once I took off this paper, which took a little bit of a time, sorry, thought I took this piece off of the video, just have no more time left, I gotta go make dinner. But I just wanted to show you that it's very simple to make beautiful home decor on a budget. So once I got that off there, I added the decoupage medium on there. I added way too much, so I had to put some back. But once I got the decoupage medium on there, I'm going to add the scrap pieces of that little summer landscape. Tag signs are a perfect way to use scrap pieces of any paper, napkin, whatever. And I saw Natalie at Sparks of Joy Studio use her scraps to make a tag sign. I said, that is genius. So thank you, Natalie. It was an awesome idea. I'm going to go in and add more decoupage medium all over. And then once this is fully dry, I'm going to sand off the edges. Now, I was totally okay with the wrinkles. I wanted the texture on there because I felt like it will make it feel more like nature, kind of like the 3D effect of trees and bushes. Now I'm going to go in with another mold I have in my stash, and I'm going to use the same detail tip glue gun, and this one has like birds and cherry blossoms. So I used all of the molds, making sure to slam it while it was still hot. It's better for your hot glue to be piping hot for it to get into all the nooks and crannies in your mold. So my hot glue is piping hot, and then I just let it dry. And then once I took them out, I had my little assistant paint them. And he painted them in my favorite color. Yes, the foggy color. He was painting them for me. Just a tip, if you have a little kid working, give him the smallest paintbrush possible so they can make the smallest possible mess. That's wisdom, y'all. That's wisdom. All right, I'm going to go ahead and just glue these in place. I'm going to use some Titebond glue very, very lightly, sparingly. And I'm also going to use some hot glue to hold it in place as the Titebond fully sets. I hope I said Titebond. Did I say Quick Bond? It's a thing, guys. I'm trying to figure out the name of this glue. And I hot glued them in place like so with some Titebond glue as well. And then I used my little Cricut tool to poke the little hole on top. Now I was afraid that this was not going to survive, this little hole part, because it's going to be on a tassel. So I decided to add some hard coat Mod Podge on top to make the decoupage paper reinforced, to give it a hard coating on there. And then I went through all the little nooks and crannies to give everything the same finish. Now I took some lace from my stash. This is some of my grandmother's lace. Yes, I come from a family of crafters, so we all have craft hoards and we inherit them. So Two of these are from my grandmother's stash, which was my mother's, passed down to me. And that little gold piece there is from a Dollar Tree ornament garland I had left over. Nothing goes to waste in this house. So I'm going to go ahead and just put a variety of different lace trim together, and I'm going to hot glue them. I'm going to bind them together with some jute twine into like a little tassel kind of thing. And then I'm going to feed the jute twine through. So I kept the string very long because I want to turn it into a tassel. I hot glued that little tassel thing we just made to the right edge, kind of like on an angle, so it fell off the side of the tag sign. You'll see in a second what I mean. But then I fed the jute twine through the same hole again, and I had to add some hot glue to the end in order to be able to do that, because I wanted it to go around that hole 2 times to make it more decorative. So once I added the hot glue through, I pulled it through that little hole, and then I'm going to bead on a couple of these natural wood beads. They're smaller than the regular 1-inch bead. I'm not sure what size they are, but they're smaller. You can get some of these at Dollar Tree as well, because sometimes they make beaded hangers and they work well. Anyways, so once I hot glued that tip on there, I was able to feed these little wood beads very simply through here. So once I got all the small beads on there, I think I put about 7 of them on there, I'm going to put some lace, lay some different lace on the jute twine, and then I'm going to pull that same string through that first bead, making a loop. Then I'm going to pull the twine, and that's just going to make a tassel with all this lace, and you won't see any of the knots or anything. Then I'm going to just make 1 knot between 2 of the beads, and then I'm going to tie it real tight. Secure that with a little bit of hot glue, and then we're going to cut the jute twine end very short so that it can be hid underneath that second bead. Then it just looks like a seamless tassel. To complete the tassel, I'm just going to tie a double knot with some jute twine on the top there, and I just kind of move the lace around a little bit so that I can expose the ones I want to see on top. Then I'm going to double knot it and secure it with hot glue. And I left the twine long there so that it looks like it's part of the tassel, and that's how it turned out. I think this one is so cute, and I love that it's double-sided. It's like a piece of art. I love it so much. But let me know in the comments below which one was your favorite out of all these projects today. This one might be my favorite. It's just so beautiful. That summer landscape decoupage paper takes us to a whole new level. And let me know what you think about this box, the maker's box. I left it linked below if you want to buy one. It's a surprise every month, so no one knows what they're going to get. But thank you so much for watching. I'm so happy to able to finally make projects out of this box. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you want to support my channel, you could do so by watching my videos from start to finish, or just donating at the Buy Me a Coffee site. Thank you so much for watching, friends. Take care, God bless, and I'll catch you on the next one. Bye! If you like this video, you might also like this one.